Going back to the premise of this episode, deal inspections, assessing rank and influence, we're alluding to it now, right? How do we, or which is more important, influence within an account, rank within an account, when we're talking about the decision process element of this? How do we need to rank the individuals within the account that we want to spend most time with, least time with, and how do we frame this up so that we can coach our sales individual contributors to implement what we probably know via experience of that person is an influencer, that person is a deal breaker, they're going to say yes or no. We know this by experience. How do we document this and coach our team to implement what we know we should be doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can coach across decision process. So first of all, I'm huge on planning. I want to know, the American Army have got a great saying that first contact, no plan only survives first contact. And how many salespeople go into an account without a plan? Plan out what you want to do. So first of all, I researched the people across the decision process. I had a book when I first started selling. Now we've got this ton of information. If you're not signed up for Google Alerts, if you haven't got your social selling game, if you're not a brand, these are all key things to do. But I find out one other thing I do is go back through 3 years of company reports, because I want to find out who's been responsible for projects, because you're looking for that consistency of someone that is influencing. Now, for me, during times of change, influence is higher than rank. And going back to, I had my most successful selling year in 2008 because I didn't sell a thing. I just consulted, and I understood and I persuaded the influencers that I was the right person to work with. And just another quick word according to Julian, I believe discovery is all about having our customer qualify that we're the right people to work with. Sure. And they do that because people buy of people who are like them, as in terms of business, as in terms of values. So as a salesperson, map out the key people you need to target and talk to. Understand what their perception of value is. Are they left brain? Are they right brain? Are they accountants? Are they visionaries? Look for evidence. So look on the web. Look at what they're talking about. Look for interviews. There's tons of stuff on LinkedIn. You have a plethora of information to find out what they are. And design your target engagement strategy based on their perception of value and how you're going to reframe what you're selling based on what their objectives are of what they want to achieve. Now, in my scenario I just gave you around the marketing director, etc., I'm going to focus my time, because it's more of a technical sell, on the COO, CTO, and the architect, because it's more. But I'm going to buy the marketing guy in because he's actually paying for this as well. This is what a lot of salespeople miss. They don't understand how things are accounted for within a company. Now, if I'm running marketing, a big portion of my budget is going to IT. So I want value out of it. And how many marketeers you get on here and go, do you know what? Will I get massive value out of my IT department? And they don't, because they don't talk. Our job is to make everyone look good as well. So that's a key thing with the decision process side of things. So just sort of wrapping that all back is identify the key people you want to talk to. Understand, look at their history, go on LinkedIn, look at 3 years of reports, who's been achieving what, who's the key influencers, who's been known for delivery. And they're the ones we want to target spending the most time with. And also remember back to my original question, tell me about the last successful project. You'll be able to understand the influencers for there, because the key piece you're looking for is what coverage any person has across multiple lines of business. You must have sold to them. I know your space relatively well, hardly well. Boehringer Ingelheim, AstraZeneca, GlaxoSmithKline. And there were certain people that just had reach across all business units. The best procurement guy I ever worked with, who completely annihilated me. He worked at GlaxoSmithKline, and he had reach across the whole business, across every single business they had. Mm-hmm. So he had huge influence. Yet his rank was he was a procurement officer.
I've had that exact experience you're describing, selling to the NHS here in the UK, where there'll be a quote, kind of saying this lightly here, and the conversation will make sense in a second, but there'll be a lowly theatre manager who will have control of essentially, indirectly, millions of pounds in budgets for operating room upgrades, service contracts, whatever it is, all because, and I think of one local hospital to me here, he essentially had indirect access to all of this budget because he worked in the hospital from he was 16 to when he was in his 50s now. He'd been in nursing, so he's got that clinical experience. He's now in the theatre management / procurement side of things. And so the surgeons would just go, hey, speak to that dude. He will solve all my problems and I will get new shiny toys. Procurement go, hey, we trust this individual not to screw us over, not to waste our time. And they're the ones with the actual purse string and the budgets. And then even the CFO is mates with this guy on a kind of personal level because they both play golf together. So you get this one individual on board, forget the surgeon, forget procurement, forget the CFO who can obviously come in and just kibosh the whole project if they choose to. This one individual was in control of all of that. So we would send him basically to Germany to do different trainings and go on piss-ups with some of his surgical team as well. And he just totally bought in, would only buy our brand, would not touch anyone else. And that was from before I joined the company to when I was in the company to, I'm sure right now, continuing on from that, all from the influence of one individual who was ranked lower. So if we were doing this and we didn't have, I guess, that insight, and we were doing this just on a spreadsheet or something like that, without coaching from leadership who knew this fact because they had dealt with that individual over the years as well, we could have got all of this wrong. And so it's only from having a framework and having the value add from leadership, adding their own insights from working these accounts when they were in sales many decades ago, that all of this comes together, which is the whole point, right?
Absolutely. And if I could just tell you a really quick story, it's relatively amusing. I signed a $9 million deal with a UK bank. And I found out early on, using my question, what the last successful project looked like, that the CEO was in charge of all decisions. Everything was decided by him. And I bet there's a number of people in your podcast are going, it's that bank. Because when I tell the story, they all know. I found out that his PA had worked with him for the past 27 years. And I always embrace everybody I meet in an account positively, do my best program, remember their name, be a good person. And her name was Julia Kennedy, and she had all these pictures of bulldogs on her desk. She had bulldogs. I have dogs myself. I love dogs. And I bought her a Churchill nodding dog. And as I was having a meeting with the CEO, I dropped on her desk. I said, I bought you a little something. I'm a huge dog fan, and I hope you don't mind. And she was blown away by it. There were 9 decision makers in the whole decision thing. 8 of them said no. 1 of them said yes. The CEO, off the back of Julia, saying, I like Julian. I wanted to work with him. Because he trusted her and the character of the person. Yeah. And he used to get her to speak to all the salespeople. The ones that would ignore her, they never had a chance. The ones that would talk down to her, they never had a chance. The ones that engaged her and talked to her would buy her trust and buy the deal without even knowing it. So you talk about rank versus influence. That was massive. And it'd be great if it was like that in every account, just buy a Churchill nodding dog and win a multi-million-dollar deal. It's not, but it just talks to this value of really in discovery, finding out who the influencers are in any account, because it's not always at rank. Rank's important, but it's not always, and especially during times of change, because this is when people go to their A players, the ones that are known for delivery, the ones that are given they're the ones that come to the fore, because everything has to have an outcome.